Hey, welcome to the Summit Host Hangout podcast, where you'll learn how to plan, strategize, and launch your profitable online summit. No influencer status necessary. I'm your host, Krista from Summit in a Box, and we're in a short series about having a Facebook group or community for your virtual summit. And today in episode 127, we're going to do kind of a rapid fire Q&A with questions that have come up in the Summit Host Hangout Facebook group related to this topic. So we're going to cover when to open and close your group, whether you should keep the group going after your summit, what join questions to ask when someone requests to join the group. We'll cover if the group should just be for the summit, open to everybody, or combined with another group you already run. And then I'll share my thoughts on hosting your whole summit inside the Facebook group. Before we dive in, I want to invite you to join our Summit Host Hangout Facebook group. This is a group of summit hosts, whether up and coming or past hosts, who have all come together to get support and support each other in the summit planning journey. This is a great place to ask questions, get support others, and just feel understood and like part of a community, since people who aren't on this track don't really get what the heck we're doing. So join the group by going to summitinabox.co/community. So let's start with the first question I hear a lot, which is when should you open the community for your summit? So some people that I really, admire with experience with running summits say that you shouldn't open your group until a few days before you actually start the summit, or even on day one. And I very much disagree with that. A big part of having engagement during your summit is getting people comfortable and engaged before it starts. And a big part of having high conversion rates and making sales of your All Access Pass and what you're selling afterwards is a cold audience finding you for the first time during your summit, having enough time and exposure to you to trust you enough to make those purchases. And if all the access they have to you starts a couple of days before you want them to make that purchase, it reduces the chances that they're going to actually do so. Also, having your community open earlier is also a great way to keep people who sign up early engaged until the event actually starts, rather than signing up, 2 weeks early, getting bored, forgetting why they even cared. They're in the group, having fun, engaging with you, getting awesome content from you, all that good stuff. It's going to keep them engaged until the summit starts. The last reason I recommend opening your group right when registration opens is that one of the times that attendees are the most likely to join that group is right after they sign up for the summit. When they're excited about it, when they, remember all the goals and everything, they're most likely to join your group at that time. So take advantage of that. So because of those things, I obviously encourage you to open your group as soon as registration opens, and use the tips we went over in the last episode 126, to keep everyone engaged. Specifically through doing things like daily prompts, bonus trainings, and showing up and engaging with them too. Your goal is to show them that the group is a fun, safe space for them to experience the transformation that your summit promises. Question 2 is, when should I close my Facebook group, or do you keep it going after the summit? So let's address both of those separately. So if you decide to close your group anytime after your All Access Pass cart closes and any launch you do is over, is when you can do that. So, if you're not launching anything, close it a day or two after the All Access Pass isn't available any longer. If you're launching something after the summit, launch the thing, take advantage of the group, and then close it a few days after that. So after my summit is over, I always have a few days of connection prompts just to give people a way to connect with each other, myself, the speakers. So I'll do a thread where they can post their Instagram links. I have one that encourages them to join my other Facebook group. And then let's see, what else do we have? One to encourage them to share feedback on the summit and things like that. Just little feedback, simple, quick things that they can do to stay engaged. I also post reminders to buy the All Access Pass before it goes away. And if I'm launching something, I'm going to post launch content related to that, do live videos, all that good stuff. Use the heck out of that group for your launch, because the people in your community are going to be some of your most engaged attendees. Then a day or two after all of that is over, I'll close the group. So I'll post in the morning or the afternoon before and say, hey, the group is closing at this day and time, but you'll still be able to search past posts and all that good stuff. And then I'll go ahead and archive it. From there, if you host your summit again, you can just unarchive it, and everyone who didn't leave on their own will still be there. You'll have a starting point for next time, which is always nice. I will say some people do decide to keep their group open. They don't close it after the summit, and they use it as like a jumping off point for a community to use for their business. I would say only do this if you can dedicate the time you need to make it a beneficial marketing method for you and make it beneficial for people to stay in that group. So if you want to use it for an ongoing marketing method and ongoing community for your brand, totally keep it open and continue to use it. The next question I get a lot is, what join questions do you ask? So, specifically this one might be for a Facebook group. When someone hits, request to join, the box pops up with questions that they have to answer before you let them in. And I'll say that there's no right answer for what questions you ask, but the ones I personally ask are, what's the one thing you'd most like to improve about blank, where blank is the topic of your summit. I also ask how they heard about the summit, and I ask if they agree to the group rules. So if they don't answer the questions, or at least one of the open-ended questions plus the rules, I do not let them in, to avoid people who are just spammy or aren't dedicated anyways. And I know this might be I really want to let people in, what if they were just busy, all that good stuff. I will say, since we've started being pickier with our join questions for who we let into the Summit Host Hangout Facebook group, the quality of the group has improved a lot. If someone doesn't have time to answer a couple really simple questions, they're not going to have time to be good attendees of your summit anyway. So it's really not that big of a deal. But let's walk through the point of each of those questions. So the point of the first question, which is, what's the one thing you'd most like to improve? The goal of that is to find out what they want to learn. So this is helpful for gauging which presentations really hit the mark. It'll give you ideas for bonus live training. So if people keep saying that they want to improve something that you don't have a presentation for, cool, go live in your Facebook group and do a mini training on that for them. It's great for content ideas for your business moving forward. So totally make a spreadsheet and put the ideas in there. So if you run a blog, do podcast episode, YouTube videos, anything like that, you have a list of things your people want to learn about. The next question I said I include is, how did you hear about the summit? This is just a really easy way to see what marketing is paying off. So you'll see which speakers are promoting which days. And of course, you could see that through your affiliate links too, but you'll see if, someone found you on Google or your Facebook ads, all kinds of good stuff. So I just like having that. It's a nice quick thing for them to answer and is interesting for me to know. And then the last one is, do you agree to the group rules? And when you're setting up your join questions in Facebook, they have an option for you to just toggle on, and they'll list all of your rules for you. And then people can say if they agree to them. Next question, should the group be private just for attendees, or can it be in another Facebook group I run? My answer here is that it should be a private, separate group. As far as Facebook's actual privacy settings go for the group, you want to set it to the private option, so only other members can see posts in the group. You don't want to do closed, I think it is, because if you do that, people can't even, if they click a link to your group, they won't be able to see it. So private is the setting you want there. But as for whether you can do it in another community you run, I would advise against that. Because if you host an engaged event, there will be a lot of posts. I think the first day of my most recent summit, which I'm actually running as I'm recording this episode, we had over 80 posts the first day, which would get very annoying and confusing to people in your existing community who decided not to join your summit for one reason or another. They don't want their news feeds just flooded with that. After the summit is over, then you can post in the summit specific Facebook group and encourage them to join the other community. You can include it in your wrap up emails and all that good stuff. So you can, get as many people as possible moved over to your original group, but I do not recommend combining them for the summit. Next question is, should you have your speakers join the Facebook group? And my answer there is definitely. Not all of them will. I don't think it should be a requirement, but definitely encourage them to. It's a really great way for them to connect with attendees, and it's helpful when the attendees have questions just to be able to tag the speaker after a session. So it's kind of great all around there. I also let my speakers do encore videos in the group after their presentation is over to connect more with the attendees. So if there were all kinds of questions in their chat boxes, or they were just having a good time, have something else they want to add, they're welcome to go live in the group and do that. Not all of them do, but it's a really big hit for those of them who do take me up on that offer, and it's a lot of fun for the attendees as well. And then the last question I want to cover is, can I host my entire summit in a Facebook group? My answer here is I don't necessarily recommend it, but of course you can. I don't recommend it because it's not always a great user experience. Things tend to be kind of difficult to find and just messy, and more people are starting to avoid Facebook and are unwilling to use it, which means rather than just excluding them from your community, they can't attend the summit at all if they don't want to use Facebook, which is their decision, right? It's not your fault, but just kind of something to consider there. With that being said, I have seen it done and be successful. I've also seen it be done poorly and not go very well. But if hosting a summit in your Facebook group is what will let you get that first event out there, do it, okay? Just pay special attention to making it easy for everyone to keep track of where to find the videos. If someone's looking for a specific video, how easy is it for them to locate that? And then just expect emails from people who are all up in their feelings about not wanting to use Facebook. Bless and release, let it go. Don't let it bother you too much, but do expect that it's going to happen. So I hope these questions were helpful, and thank you so much for tuning into this episode. For show notes and resources mentioned, head to summithosthangout.com/127. In the next episode, we've got a special guest coming on to talk about attracting high-value brand sponsorships for your summit. It's going to be so good, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Before you go, I want to invite you to my free masterclass covering my 3-part framework to triple your monthly revenue with the virtual summit while building your list for free. In this class, we cover the secret to creating a plan you can actually follow to make your summit happen, even if your business is already too busy. We'll talk about how to host a profitable event and land expert speakers without a huge audience of your own, and how to use the 3-part profitable summit system to triple your monthly revenue in the size of your email list. You can join that class at summithosthangout.com/class. Now go out and take action to plan, strategize, and launch your profitable online summit.